Hello, everyone. The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. It's good to see you again. I hope you're doing well. It is now really fall here in Colorado. I mean, the leaves are just so beautiful in yellow and gold and all different shades within that spectrum, but it's wonderful. The temperatures have been like cold and then now they're in the 70s and we're supposed to get a rainstorm today, but that's the thing about the storms out here in Colorado. They come and then they just immediately go. But anyway, are you ready for some tea and spider witches? What in the world am I talking about? I'm so glad you asked, and I will answer that question in just a minute. But before I do, as I always like to do this, share with you some books that I've been reading and also currently reading. So if you're ready, grab some tea or coffee or water or fruit juice or whatever, and let's begin. So my current read is by a woman that I consider her to be a friend. Even though we've never met, we do follow each other on Instagram, and I just think she's a really cool person. And I'm talking about The Resurrection of Joan Ashby by Charisse Wallace. You know, I read this book, actually I read part of it several years ago, and I guess I had reading ADD or something because I went to something else. However, her second book, which is on my bookshelf back there, is called The Family Table. I hope I'm saying that right, Charisse. But I devoured the book and I went, oh my gosh, she's incredible. So I ended up getting the first book, Resurrection, and of course, it sat on my bookshelf for quite some time. It's just what happens, you know. But so I decided to delve back into the book, and I am so happy to be doing this. So let me read the synopsis for you. I viewed the consumptive nature of love as a threat to serious women, but the wonderful man I just married believes as I do. Work is paramount, absolutely no children, and now love seems to me quite marvelous. These words are spoken to a rapturous audience by Joan Ashby, a brilliant and intense literary sensation acclaimed for her explosively dark and singular stories. When Joan finds herself unexpectedly pregnant, she is stunned by her husband's delight, his instant betrayal of their pact. She makes a fateful, selfless decision then to embrace her unintentional family. Challenged by the raising of two precocious sons, it takes Joan decades to finally complete her masterpiece novel. Poised to reclaim the spotlight, to resume the intended life she gave up for love, a betrayal of Shakespearean proportions forces her to question every choice she has made. Epic, propulsive, and dazzlingly written, The Resurrection of Joan Ashby is a story about sacrifice and motherhood, the burdens of expectation and genius. Charisse Wallace's gorgeous debut introduces an indelible heroine, candid about her struggles and unapologetic in her ambition. If you are, well, I'll just read what it says on the cover here. It says, a stunning debut reminds me of my most favorite authors, J.D. Salinger, Carson McCullers, Truman Capote, and Joan Didion by A.M. Holmes. So if you are into any of those authors or you just like a really good literary book where you can spend like a Saturday afternoon devouring half of it, The Resurrection of Joan Ashby. So I'll be reviewing this in a future video, but this is my current read. Now, for previous reads, I just finished reading, and this was a roller coaster of a ride, Henning Mankel's The White Lioness. This is the third in the Kurt Wallander mystery, and wow, nobody told me I needed to strap myself in to read this. So let me read the back for you. When Inspector Kurt Wallander is called in to investigate the execution style murder of a Swedish housewife, it initially seems like a routine case. He uncovers a suspicious stalker who may have committed the murder out of brutal passion. But when the suspect's alibi turns out to be airtight, Wallander must look deeper into the case, and what he discovers is far more complex and dangerous than he ever imagined. He soon uncovers an assassination plot and finds himself in a tangle with the secret police and a ruthless ex KGB agent. Combining compelling insights into the sinister side of modern life with a riveting tale of international intrigue, The White Lioness keeps you on the knife edge of suspense. I wish I could tell you or give you some hints about this book, but all I have to say is if you like a good mystery, a murder mystery, a thriller, not really espionage, but more thriller, murder mysteries, or just general mysteries, I highly recommend this book. And in fact, there is a PBS show with Kenneth Branagh as the inspector, but highly recommended author. And I'm adding this to yet another author that I'm obsessed about. So, yes, The White Lioness was a thrill ride, very much so. Let's see, another current read. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw one of my posts stating how I'm completely obsessed with Marcel Proust, and it is true. I have only read the first two books in his seven-book series, and to read Marcel Proust, it's like it's a staunch dedication. I mean, you can't just, oh, I'm just going to read a couple pages and put it down, and then I'm going to pick it up again, I'm going to put it down. You really have to commit yourself to his work because it's so intense. It's like eating a decadent piece of chocolate cake. Like, it's going to probably kill your sweet tooth, but when you're done, you're so glad that you did it. So, I'm rereading the first book in the series, but as a graphic novel. So this is In Search of Lost Time, Swan's Way, a graphic novel. So even though this is written by Marcel Proust, of course the illustrations are not done by him, but I'll read the back of it for you. Whether you are looking to brush up or sample for the first time, this graphic adaptation of In Search of Lost Time is the perfect introduction to Proust's masterpiece. And yes, his seven books are a masterpiece. From the translator's introduction, I expect, I hope, that new readers will be drawn to my favorite writer by the promise of the gentle introduction that this text offers. But gentleness is not the only virtue of Huet's adaptation. The ruthless compression required to squeeze Proust's expansive sentences into the confining frames of a graphic novel yields an unexpected benefit. It sheds a revealing light on the book's armature, on the columns, pillars, and arches that support the narrator's resurrected memories, as the columns of the church in Cambrai support the stained glass and tapestries that transport visitors into the past they represent. I am taking my time in reading this, not because I just can't deal with it, it's too intense, but I really want to enjoy the illustrations as well. And so far, this has been a beautiful read. So if you're into Proust or you are thinking about starting his work, you might want to start with this one. It's quite good, so highly recommend it. And now the final book that I'm kind of sort of reading, but this is more for my boyfriend James because okay, let me just back it up. So, some time ago, he and I watched the movie Labyrinth. If you are a Jim Henson fan or a David Bowie fan, it's a great fantasy movie. I mean, the Muppets and the characters really make it. And of course, David Bowie as the Goblin King. Come on, really? So, I mean, everybody likes the Goblin King. So after that, well, during the movie, I thought, I don't think he's ever read anything by Brian Froud. I hope I'm saying Froud at his last name right. If I'm wrong, my apologies. Please don't blow up my email or anything. So anyway, I went to the library and I got World of Fairy revised and expanded edition. And of course, James flew through it in one night. I swear, I thought I read fast. James reads way faster than me, so way to go. Anyway, but this is a beautiful book. If you are into fairies or just anything that's whimsical and magical and wonderful and colorful and anything else ending with full, you need to read this book. Check it out. And much thanks to the Arapaho Library for having this library book. And speaking of fairies, which makes me think of, witches, and in particular, spider witches. Whatever could I mean? Let's talk about the book that this episode is revolved around, The Lost Daughter of Easa by J.L. Mulvihill. Now, this cover is not the cover that I'm actually selling in my Etsy store. And I think Jen has both versions, but there is an updated cover to this book. This is the first book in the Elsie Lynn Chronicles. This is published through Curlac, now Dark Oak Press and Media in Memphis, Tennessee. And let me just say, this is a book I feel terrible for waiting to read. I had this book, let's see, Jen actually signed this for me. I can't even remember when she signed it, but it's been sitting in my bookshelf for years. And I just kept saying, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. And then finally, something inside of me kind of smacked me on the back of my head and said, every time you read something by Jen Mulvihill, you devour it within days. Why haven't you read this yet? And I thought, good point. So I decided to read it, and I think I read it in about 4 days. Yeah, because I had to go to work, be an adult, that kind of thing. But let me just say this. Jen is known for being a young adult fantasy author. I will warn you, her books are for everyone. If you like a good fantasy story that has clearly good characters, clearly bad characters, anti heroes, giants, large spiders, you name it, then The Lost Daughter of Asa is your book. So I'm just going to read the back for you. After falling through a portal, 17-year-old Elsie Lynn awakens with amnesia and lost in a forest. She must draw on her instincts of self preservation to escape ravenous wild beasts, goblins, demons, and a dark witch who knows the secret of her past. Locked deep within Elsie's mind are haunting dreams and childhood memories that hold the key to her survival. She is now in the battle of her life, the struggle to claim her identity. However, bad choices and trusting in the wrong sort of guidance leaves her a criminal on the run. Now, in this medieval realm where magic influences technology and beings of folklore are as real as the demons they fight, an ancient threat endangers the entire land. Her struggle allies her with two brothers conflicting with their own character flaws and dislike for each other. Between these three unlikely companions, an evil must be stopped before its power takes hold of Authora and the lost daughter of Asa. Again, I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this book. Jen, and I hope you're watching this. And I mean this. Jen Mulvihill is a true storyteller. I have not read anything that she's written where I was like, oh, that was nice. Every time I've read her work, be it a short story or a novel, like she has another series called the Steel Roots series, and that's with Seven Star Press. So far, there's 3 books out, and I think she's currently working on the fourth. And I may do a future episode of Viridian Tea House dealing with those books because they're incredible. But Jen Mulvihill is a master storyteller. In fact, and I was telling James about this, that anytime I read her work, and especially with this, I heard Jen's voice. Like as though she and I were at a con, maybe Coast Con or something, or Contraflow, and she was just reading from her book. As soon as I heard her voice and reading the pages, I felt like I was there with Elsie and all the different characters. I will say my favorite is Vigo because he's such an anti hero. I really did like how he came to life on the pages, but very, very much enjoyed reading this book. And I'm looking forward to reading the sequel, which I didn't bring with me, but it's called Return to Asa. And I do have it for sale in my Viridian Tea Company Etsy store, both the first and second books. And also, at the end of this video, you'll be able to find out all the social media links for Jen Mulvihill. So if you don't want to order it through me, that's quite all right. You can order it through her. But once again, it's a great, great book for not only young adults, but maybe children who like the spooky and the creepy, and for adults as well. So in doing that, Jen, the Lost Daughter of Asa gets a 5 cup of tea review. 5. Woo, yay, yay. There were a couple of hiccups in the book, but other than that, it didn't deter me from enjoying the book and enjoying the story. Yeah, some people may say, "Oh, that's just a typical fantasy story." Girl falls through a portal and she loses her memory, and it's like, yeah, that's true. How many fantasy books are out there that tell the exact same story, but in the author's own voice? And J.L. Mulvihill or Jen Mulvihill is a master of this. You will not be disappointed in reading her books. Like I said, I will be doing a separate video for Return to Asa, but for now, yes, for Lost Daughter of Asa, it gets the highest Viridian Tea House review, 5 cups of tea. Thank you so much, Jen. I feel so terrible that I waited so long to read this book, but I am so glad that I read it. I'm very, very glad. Thank you. And seeing as how the main bad guy or evil character in the book is the Spider Witch, let's have a little bit of Spider Witch tea. Yes, I do have a blend in my tea company, Viridian Tea Company. It's called Spider Witch, and it's black tea with hawthorn berries and anise. Now, let me just tell you up front. When Jen and I first talked about making the tea blend, I was like, okay, sure, I can put this together, no problem. Then when I finally read the book and I finally read The Spider Witch, I was like, oh, this is a perfect blend for the Spider Witch. I can just imagine the Spider Witch in her old decrepit castle with a black teacup with spider webs and spiders falling all out of it as she takes a sip and just smiles and cackles. So anyway, here's to you, Jen. That is the perfect amount of spice and sweet. But let me just say this, I am not really a licorice fan. Go figure. But with the hawthorn berries, the black tea, which is in Assam, it comes from the Assam region of India, and the anise, this makes quite a lovely blend for a fall day. It is really delicious. I've actually made this before and I've iced it, and it actually made it sweeter. Go figure. I don't know. But I do have bags of Spider Witch tea in stock and for sale in the Viridian Tea Company Etsy store. And I also have copies of Jen's book, the first and the second book, The Lost Daughter of Asa and Return to Asa, for sale in the Etsy store. And if you don't want to get the books through me, like I said, I will be posting Jen's social media and you can be more than happy to buy it from her. So again, in my indigo teacup, I raise my teacup to you, Jen. Last slurp. It's really lovely. That is quite nice. So let's see here. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, so some upcoming books that I'll be reviewing that won't necessarily have a tea blend, but I will be drinking tea with it. I did receive a book from an author named Mike Kapari, hardcore sci-fi. I'm looking forward to reading that. And then let's see what else. Oh, also the Resurrection of Joan Ashby. I'll be reviewing that as well. And I'm gonna do something different. I'm going to also be reviewing one of my books because there's going to be a tea blend that will be associated with the book. The book is Open A. That is my dark fantasy erotic book about a violinist in Memphis. And I did have a tea blend affiliated with the book, but I got rid of it for whatever reason. Well, there is going to be a new tea blend that's going to be in a future show, and I will have it for sale, so be on the lookout for it. But yes, so those are a couple of books that I will be reviewing and drinking tea with in the not too distant future. So I hope that you've enjoyed everything that I've had so far, and that you'll stay with me for these future episodes. So before I end, let's do some meditation. So let's get comfortable in our chair or lying down or standing up, whatever is comfortable to you. Take the glasses off for this. And allow your shoulders to droop and gently close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, slowly. Now just breathe normally and just be for a few moments. And if any thoughts come to mind, don't ignore them. Don't get stuck on them either. Just let them go by and simply be yourself. Now, as I bring this meditation to an end, take one deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly open your eyes and welcome back. So, thank you, as always, for being a part of my little tea house. I hope that with each episode you laugh a little, learn a little, maybe want to go out and buy some of these books or buy some of the tea. So, once again, for The Lost Daughter of Easa, the first book in the Elsie Lynn Chronicles by J.L. Mulvihill, this gets the 5 Cup of Tea Award. Great job, Jen. Excellent book. I'm looking forward to reading the second one. And the accompanying tea from my tea company is called Spider Witch. And I don't know if you can see it, it's really hard to tell. But it's black tea, Assam tea, hawthorn berries, and anise, and it is for sale. in the Viridian Tea Company Etsy store. And as I was meditating, I know I was just supposed to breathe, but I got a really interesting idea. So I'm going to see who's going to do this. So the first person who sends me a message via my email, which is tgoddess74@gmail.com, and makes a comment about the video that you're watching right now, will receive free a bookmark that says Wise Witches Read Often. So, the first person to email me and make a comment about this video regarding J.L. Mulvihill's book, The Lost Daughter of Easa, will receive this bookmark free. So, until then, take care, and I hope to see you very soon. So, raise your teacup high and enjoy. Take care, everybody. Bye.